Boom! What's up, everybody? Champ is back with our second, number 2, execution today. Brought to you by Final Verdict. The link is in the description down below, along with the link to this video. And this one does not involve a child. So yay for that. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments down below. Let's go.
On July 28, 2026, 80-year-old Dominick Occhicone was executed at Florida State Prison. He had spent nearly 40 years on death row, costing Florida taxpayers an estimated $850,000 before the state finally carried out.
Dude, they're going to be mad about that in the comment. The comment section of that video is going to be destroyed.
And that doesn't even include the cost of his appeals. But the reason he ended up there? A broken engagement, a secret abortion, and a man who told bartenders, friends, and anyone who would listen exactly who he was going to kill and how he was going to do it for weeks. And nobody called the police. Not once. It was just after 3 in the morning on June 10, 1986, in a quiet subdivision in Holiday, Florida. Anita Garrity was asleep in her bedroom at her parents' house. She lived there with her 2 children and her parents, Raymond and Martha Artzner. A knock on the sliding glass door woke her up.
I literally thought that somebody was knocking on the window right behind me. I'm like, how the hell did they get on the roof? What the I'm sorry, go ahead.
A knock on the sliding glass door woke her up. It was Dominick, her ex-fiancé. He wanted to talk, wanted to work things out, but she told him there was nothing.
At 3 in the morning. You want, what's her name, Anita?
Anita Garrity was
Yeah, you want Anita back. So how you go about it is you just randomly show up and just knock on her window at 3 in the morning. This is not going to end well. How much you want to bet he's going to kill her and the parents? I bet you it's a 3 murder type deal.
Wanted to talk, wanted to work things out, but she told him there was nothing left to discuss and warned him she would call the sheriff if he didn't leave. He left. He got in his car and drove home. But that night didn't come out of nowhere. In September of 1985, Anita Garrity broke off her engagement to Dominick Occhicone. She later testified that the reason was his temper. She described an incident where she locked herself in a bedroom and Dominick kicked the door down holding a knife. There had been other moments too, she said, both verbal and physical, directed at her and at her children.
Sounds charming.
They had been together since 1982. They had lived together for about 6 months, blending her 2 kids with his 5-year-old son. They had even set a wedding date for November 30th, but Anita had seen enough.
Yeah.
Then, a month after the breakup, something happened that should have changed everything. Anita was at Dominick's house when she tried to leave. He pulled a pistol, pointed it at her, and fired a round into the door jamb right next to her head.
There are red flags. And there are pretty big red flags. That red flag right there, it's so big that I don't even think a jetliner can fly that red flag over anything, because that's how big of a red flag that is. You should probably leave that kind of relationship. Actually, you know what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. She's going to try to leave the relationship, but that's when all the problems ramp up. That's what's going to happen. Oh, guess not.
Then he tried to hand her the gun and begged her to shoot him. She refused.
Wait,
to
what?
hand her and fired a round into the door jamb right next to her head.
Yeah, I got that.
Then he tried to hand her the gun and begged her to shoot him.
What type of kinky ass voodoo shit is that? Now you do me. What?
Refused. After that, Dominick didn't go away. He sent flowers to her workplace every single day.
Oh
He
my
called
God.
constantly. He showed up at her parents' house in the middle of the night and knocked on her bedroom window.
Yo,
Roughly,
and this is the 80s. Like back in the 80s, they didn't give a fuck about stalkers. Like if you were to stalk somebody, it was perfectly fine because technically they didn't commit a crime. And it's like, yeah, that might be true and everything, but they're obsessed with me. I'm kind of scared. And yeah, don't worry about it.
20 separate times over the following months. And in a twist that makes this whole story harder to untangle, Anita sometimes let him in. She visited
Why do people do that? I forgive you. No.
his house too, more than once. The relationship that was supposed to be over kept pulling them both back. Dominick had been a heavy drinker for more than a decade. Bartenders at Shooter's Liquor Lounge in Elfers described his routine, and it paints a pretty clear picture of where his life had gone. He would walk through the door right when it opened at 7 in the morning, drink 10 to 15 vodka cocktails before the
At 7 in the morning. Cut him off! Don't serve him that! What the fuck did he have? Vodka? What the fuck are vodka cocktails?
right when it opened at 7 in the morning, drink
Cut him off! Why are you You can't do that in New York. I can't go to the grocery store and buy any beer at all on any day between, I think it's like 1 or something, all the way up to like 8 o'clock in the morning. I have to wait until it's after 8 in order to buy it.
had gone. He would walk through the door right when it opened at 7 in the morning, drink 10 to 15 vodka cocktails before
What are vodka cocktails? Vodka already tastes disgusting. It's like tree sap. 15 vodka cocktails. So he's cocked by like 10 o'clock. At least. It's gotta be.
the lunch shift started, go home, sleep it off, and sometimes come back for more. 7 days a week. He also drank at 3 other bars on rotation.
That's a lot of money, too. That's a lot of money. And vodka cocktails, I bet you, aren't even cheap either. Vodka-ass cocktails, okay?
And all of this was before the breakup. After it, the drinking got even heavier, and so did everything else. Then, in the middle of May 1986, 3 weeks before the murders, Anita came to see him. She told him she had had an abortion, and she would not tell him whether it was his child. Around the same time, she mentioned she had met someone new.
Well, if you don't think that it's his child, then why are you telling him? Especially if you know he's going to be angry about it.
Whether it was his child. Around the same time, she mentioned she had met someone new. Whatever was keeping Dominick together stopped keeping him together.
Yeah, he spiraled out of
He
control.
told the bartender he was...
There you go. There you have it. If I can't have you, nobody can. If I can't have you, this guy can't. Seen it all before.
going to hire a lawyer and sue Anita for having the abortion. He told another bartender he couldn't stand to look at children anymore because it reminded him of the one that never existed. A friend named Joanne Carrico stopped by his house one day and found him on the floor, crying, shaking, and vomiting. He told her he had nothing left to live for.
So he was having like a complete mental breakdown. Dude, you don't even know if she was pregnant in the first place. She could have been making the whole entire thing up. I mean, I doubt it, but...
Over the phone in the days before the murders, he kept telling Joanne he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, that could be a manipulation thing too, though. People say that all the time. Yeah, you don't do that. I'm gonna do this to myself. It's like, okay.
Described him as out of his mind and totally upset. But
Mm-hmm.
Dominick wasn't just talking about hurting himself. A bartender named Deborah Newell testified that during this same stretch, Dominick told her he felt like shooting Anita and her kids and then shooting himself. But then he said he wouldn't do it because of his young son. He could think clearly enough to protect his own child from losing a father, just not clearly enough to stop what came next. Because after that, the threats got worse, and they got specific. He told people at the bar he wanted to shoot Anita's father, her mother, and her kids, and force Anita to watch all of it. He said he would save her for last. Anita herself later testified that Dominick had told her on more than one occasion that he planned to shoot her family starting at the kneecaps and working his way up, with her forced to witness every single shot.
Okay. If you're a regular at this bar, how do you not tell this guy to just like shut up after a while? Like nobody wants to hear it. Like shut up. Okay. Yeah, you want to kill him. Okay, great. Yeah. Shut up. They probably did.
He said it to her face in bars, to friends, over and over for weeks. The Sunday before the murders, the owner of Shooters, a man named William Anderson, spotted a gun tucked into Dominick's waistband and told him to take it.
Okay, how do you not report it then? Oh, I swear, these stories just get so stupid. I mean, it's one thing that he gets hammered and he just keeps talking about how he wants to kill everybody. Okay, great. That is just the rambles of a drunk man. Nobody cares. But he's walking around with a goddamn strap. And you're not going to do anything about it. You know he's armed. And he gets hammered every day. He's probably driving there. I don't know how lax drinking and driving laws were back then, but I bet you they're not as crazy as they are now.
Outside. Dominick had already told William, referring to Anita's parents, maybe I should just blow them away. William told him to knock off the crazy talk, and that was it. The bar owner told him to knock it off. Nobody picked up.
Okay, so they did tell him to shut the hell up. Like, dude, if anything, you're just being annoying. Like, stop.
The phone. Nobody drove to the Artsner house and warned a 63-year-old man and his 60-year-old wife that someone had been describing their murders in public for weeks. The threats just floated in the air of those Pasco County bars while the man making them kept drinking and kept carrying a gun. On the night of June 10, 1986, Dominick was at Shooters until 2:30 in the morning. He asked the bartender whether he should go over to Anita's place.
How do you have the energy to drink that much? Like, if you get up every morning at like 7, well, you have to get up before that so you can get there on time at 7. So I'm assuming that you're getting up at like 6. You're drinking all day, you go home, you pass out for a couple of hours, then you go back and drink again all the way up until 2 in the morning, pass out for 4 more hours, and just keep doing it over and over again? Cut him off.
And when he left, he asked the bartender whether he should go over to Anita's place. And when he
No. Don't.
left, it seemed like he had decided against it. He hadn't. He drove to the Artsner house and knocked on Anita's sliding glass door at 3 a.m. She sent him away. He drove home, but a few minutes later, the phone rang. It was Anita. According to what Dominick later told psychiatrists, she said,
No.
"You asshole, what do you come over here for?" And she hung up. Dominick sat in that house for nearly an hour. He had been drinking all night, and all day before that, and every day for the past decade, but during that hour, he didn't pass out, and he didn't go to sleep. He picked up a loaded gun, got back in his 1975 Corvette, and drove back to the Artzner house. When he got there, he went to the side of the building where the telephone junction box was mounted to the wall.
Here we go.
He ripped it off and pulled the wires out. Then he started pounding on Anita's glass door again. When she didn't respond, he moved to her daughter's window. Meanwhile, Anita woke her father. 63-year-old Raymond Artzner went to the kitchen phone and picked it up to call the sheriff.
But it didn't work.
But the line was dead.
Yeah.
So Raymond did what fathers do. He walked into the garage, raised the overhead door, and went out to handle it himself. Anita followed him onto the driveway. She could see Dominick coming toward them in the dark. He was staggering. She could smell the alcohol from where she stood. Raymond was furious. He grabbed a broomstick, stood his ground, and screamed at Dominick to get off his property.
This isn't gonna end well.
Dominick didn't argue back. He just kept repeating, "Can we talk about this?" to Anita,
No.
as if the gun in his hand wasn't there. A neighbor, woken up by the noise, heard a man yelling, "Get the hell out of here," and "Don't ever come back here." And then he heard a gunshot. Anita watched Dominick raise his right hand toward her father's face. She didn't even realize he was holding a gun until she saw the muzzle flash. Raymond collapsed onto the driveway.
Oh.
Anita turned and ran back through the garage. She locked the door that led into the house, but Dominick was right behind her. He smashed the glass with his fist and reached through to turn the lock. Anita could hear him coming through as she scrambled down the hallway. She grabbed her daughter, made it through the front door, and ran across the lawn to a neighbor's house.
Okay, so at least she got out with the kid.
Her mother, Martha, did not make it out. As Anita ran, she heard more gunshots coming from inside the house.
So just the parents got murdered.
When Pasco County deputies arrived around 4 a.m., Raymond was lying on the driveway with a single gunshot wound to the chest. He was still alive. He looked up at the deputy and said, "Dom shot me." Those were
dying declaration, yo. Dying declaration. It's uncross-examinable. Uncross-examinable. Whatever. Uncross-examinable. And it's very, very powerful. If you say who killed you and then you die, dude, you're screwed.
among his last words. He died at the hospital shortly after.
He did die, though.
Inside the house, deputies found Martha's body just past the door that led from the garage into the kitchen hallway. She had not made it more than a few steps. She had been shot 4 times. 3 of those bullets went into her chest, and 1 of them hit her heart. The medical examiner would later describe that wound as rapidly fatal. Dominick's Corvette was found 5 houses away with smoke rising from under the hood. A tracking dog picked up his scent and followed it 3/4 of a mile along a set of railroad tracks where deputies found him in the dark with his hair a mess and his clothes disheveled, looking half asleep.
I bet you he was so hammered at this point that he didn't even know where he was. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know what the hell made his engine blow, but he was probably like, "Oh shit, well, maybe I can hike 20 minutes, like, all the way across town through the woods and I'll be perfectly fine." And there he was.
At trial in September 1987, Dominick's
I was 3.
lawyers did not argue that he hadn't done it. They argued that he hadn't planned it. They brought in psychiatrists who described his actions as hot-blooded, deranged, and psychotic rather than calculated, and diagnosed a major depression so severe it qualified as an extreme mental disturbance. But the state's psychiatrist...
He was an alcoholic. Plain and simple. That's all he was. He was an abusive alcoholic.
saw it differently. He testified that Dominick was not psychotic that night and that his judgment had not been substantially impaired. As for Dominick himself, he told the doctors that shooting Raymond was an impulsive reaction to being struck with the broomstick. And Martha?
No, you were definitely planning it, dude. You were mad at everybody and you wanted revenge on everybody.
He said shooting her was a reaction to her screaming when he came through the door. So,
you wanted to kill them. Spare me.
here is what the jury had to weigh. A man who named a specific family, who described the exact way he would kill them, who carried a loaded gun for days, who drove to their house in the middle of the night, who ripped the phone line off the wall so nobody could call for help, and who then walked up the driveway with that gun in his hand. The defense called that a spontaneous breakdown, but the jury did not agree. They convicted him on both counts of first-degree murder. When it came time for sentencing, they recommended death by a vote of 7-5. 5 jurors voted to spare his life, but the judge followed the majority. For Martha's murder, the sentence was death, and for Raymond's, life in prison. And Dominick spent the next 4 decades on death row fighting that sentence.
He wanted revenge. That's all it was. This was a revenge killing. He wanted revenge, and it just so happened to be the parents because they were on their daughter's side. That's it.
He filed direct appeals, habeas petitions, and a claim that his own lawyers had failed him. Every single one of those claims worked its way through the courts, and every single one was rejected. His lawyer's final argument was that executing an 80-year-old man constituted cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, whose fault was that to make it last that long? Kill him anyway.
That the state
There
of
it is. There it is.
Florida should not put a man that old on a gurney and inject him with lethal chemicals. But the Florida Supreme Court rejected that too. Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nocco put it more directly. He wasn't too old or too frail when he murdered 2 people, and he killed them in cold blood, the sheriff said. If the issue is he's too old, then maybe the issue is it took too long to execute him.
Yeah,
On
that's exactly what I just said.
July 28, 2026, Governor DeSantis' 12th death warrant of the year was carried out. On his final day, Dominick woke up at 4:45 in the morning. He had no visitors and spent his remaining hours with a spiritual advisor. For his last meal, he requested eggplant parmesan, salad, cornbread, and a soda.
That's disgusting.
In the afternoon, he was escorted to the execution chamber at Florida State Prison. At 6 p.m., the window shade inside the execution chamber rose.
I was watching wrestling.
Dominick was strapped to a gurney. 27 witnesses watched from behind the glass. A spiritual advisor stood at his side, clutching a rosary, praying quietly. Dominick apologized to the victims for the hurt he had caused them. He thanked his attorneys. "I loved their friendship," he said. And then his final words. "I know it don't mean much, but I'm sorry," he said. "I never meant to do what I did." He closed his eyes within a minute. The warden stepped forward, shook him, and shouted his name. But there was no response. It took 10 minutes. He was pronounced dead at 6:13 p.m. Afterward, as rain began to pour and thunder rolled outside the prison, officials read a statement from the Artsner family. They spoke of 40 years of sleepless nights, missed birthdays, and conversations they never got to have. The execution, they wrote, doesn't erase the pain, but it closes a chapter. Dominick Occhicone was 80 years old. He became the oldest person executed in the state of Florida in modern history. He was the second man executed at Florida State Prison that day.
Yeah.
6 hours earlier at noon,
Yeah.
the state had executed
Same
James
prison.
Duckett for the...
I was thinking that because the same exact prison was shown in the last one earlier today, and they just showed the same one, and I'm like, did they get executed at the same exact prison? Or does Florida State Prison seem to be the only footage of any prison that's in Florida that they seem to have? But no, they got executed at the same exact prison, back to back. Who knew, man?
Murder of an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah,
If you want to see that video,
first one.
it's on screen right now. This was the
If you want to see that video, it's one of these videos right here. Yeah, bye. Have a good night. And the next time we do this, there's going to be 3 in the same day, so look forward to that. There's 2 videos right here this time. This time they really are there.